Welcome! Bobbin winding and threading can vary by machine, but the general steps are pretty straightforward. In this video, I'll guide you through the process so that you'll have a basic idea of how to handle it on your own machine. And stick around to the end because I have one bonus tip for you.
Now once you have your thread spool, the felt disc, and the thread spool cap on the machine, take your thread and pull it in the direction of your thread guides. This first thread guide here, on my machine, you just put it right in there. It's got a little bit of a clasp to it, and that helps with the tension. Next, you're just going to want to follow the guides on your sewing machine. On my machine, it tells me exactly how to thread my machine. So now that I've put it through this tension part, see the thread mark right here, so we're just going to take that underneath that. Now, if you want to wind the bobbin, at least on my machine, there is a separate diagram right here that tells you how to do that. This is the tension disc for bobbin winding. So what we're going to do, following the instructions on the picture. Now, one thing you'll notice is the instruction on the picture partially matches the first step of threading the machine. So step one is the same for both threading the machine and winding the bobbin. So that step is complete. Second, we're going to wind the thread around the bobbin tension disc, which is this piece right here. Now, based on the instructions, we're going to take the thread through here, and then we're going to wind it around the disc, matching the picture. So now it's gone just like the picture. Next, we want to take our bobbin. Mine is a clear plastic bobbin. Now, to thread the bobbin, you're going to take this little hole at the top right there. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but there should be a little tiny hole in the top of your bobbin. You're just going to take your thread and put a little tiny piece through that. And then what I like to do is just press that down with your finger and then take the thread and wrap it around a little bit, enough to secure the thread on top and keep it from slipping out of the hole and unraveling while you're trying to wind the bobbin. Now, you're going to want to go ahead and wrap it around until there's no more loose thread. You're going to want to take that over here and just punch it down.
First, you want to make sure the machine is on.
And then, as the little arrow shows, you just push that right on over there to trigger the winding process. Now, I have a little extra thread here, and this is definitely something that we want to get rid of before we get started, but I have that on purpose because one thing I like to do is to condition my thread with thread magic as I run it through the bobbin winding. Now, this just makes sure that it's nice and smooth and prevents it from getting knotted while it's in the machine. So now that I have my thread magic in here, I'm going to put that in place and then just tighten up the spool a little bit to take out that extra space. We want to make sure that it is nice and tight between the tension dial and the bobbin. Okay, so now that we have the thread magic in place and the thread is nice and tight from the bobbin tension dial to where the bobbin is, we're just about ready to go ahead and wind the bobbin. Now, the thread magic is not required, so if you don't have any, don't worry about it. It is kind of magical. Really, it is kind of magical. It prevents the thread from getting caught in the bobbin area, which I actually tended to experience quite a lot. So if you're interested in getting that, I'll put a link in the description below. Now, if you notice on my machine, there's like a backward C and then a C looking symbol, and that's just my machine's indication that the bobbin is about to be wound. And so that all I have to do on my machine is go ahead and hit the pedal and then watch it wind. The bobbin takes care of everything itself. The winding process is totally automated. Now, if I wanted to fill up the entire bobbin, there is a bobbin stop right here, which means it will stop it from rotating once it gets full. I, however, do not want to fill up the bobbin because I'm not going to use that much orange thread and I don't want to waste it. Once you've finished winding the bobbin or have as much thread on it as you need, you just slide it back into place and then you can take it off. And after that, just cut off the end. You want to make sure there's a little thread left at the end because you're going to need that for threading the bobbin.
Now to thread the drop-in bobbin, you're just gonna wanna put it right in there and follow the instructions on the side. So I'm gonna loop it right through the first piece and then around the side, just like the picture shows, and pull the thread towards the back of the machine. While I have a hold of the thread, I'm gonna go ahead and put the bobbin case cover back on. I'm gonna leave the bobbin thread leaning towards the back of the machine. In order to catch the bobbin thread and wind it up through the machine, we're gonna wanna hold on to the top thread coming through the needle. And you wanna hold it pretty tight, just not pull the thread out. And while you're holding this thread, go ahead and wind the needle down. You're gonna wanna hand crank the wheel on the side of the machine towards you while you hold this thread tight, and then it'll pull the bobbin thread up through the machine just like you see here. Now I typically end up needing something to kind of help finish it, so I'll just kind of stick my scissors through here and go ahead and pull the rest of it out. Once that's done, you can push both threads towards the back of the machine again, and there you go. I highly recommend that you invest in some thread magic. It strengthens the thread, eliminates static, and prevents tangling, which is the best part. My bobbin thread used to get tangled all the time, and I would constantly have like knots and it would get stuck in the machine, and I haven't had that problem once since I started using thread magic. So just to save yourself some headache, I would go ahead and get some. It's definitely worth the investment. And as you can see, I've only put 2 spots of thread marks in there, and I continue to use those, and there's plenty of it available, so there shouldn't be a need to purchase one for a really long time. So even though it seems quite pricey, it's a good investment, and you probably won't have to get another one for quite a while. Now, if your machine does not come with a bobbin winding function, you can always purchase an external bobbin winder, and I would recommend that you do that for ease and convenience. If you're interested in finding one, I'll put a link in the description down below, but please keep in mind I've not used this product and do not specifically endorse it. I just want to give you a starting point to do your own research. Now, if first you want to know how to thread your machine, you may want to check out this video. And for more beginner tips, check out this playlist. Thanks for watching.